Guys, let's get on to our next topic here, because Jimmy Haslam said some comments over the weekend that we have to touch on. Those comments are brought to us by Prize Picks. Every day we make decisions, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss the excitement this football season with Prize Picks, where it pays to be right. Prize Picks is fun, simple, and adds excitement to your football Sunday. Just pick more or less on player projections, and you're in the game. It's that easy. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use promo code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first 5. That's code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineups after you play your first 5. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. All right, guys, the NFL had its annual league meetings, and a bunch of the owners from across the league went to New York, discussed the future of the league, and Diana Rossini of The Athletic caught up with a couple of them, and one of those included Jimmy Haslam. This is what Jimmy Haslam told Diana Rossini in The Athletic about Kevin Stefanski and his future. This is Jimmy Haslam to Diana Rossini, who said, quote, and this is Jimmy Haslam, "Kevin's done a really good job with us, and we've made some tough breaks. A big trade we made didn't work out, and, we're all suffering from that. Kevin, I thought, did a really good job of rallying the troops last week at a really critical time. You can find out about leaders when things are bad, not when they're good, and he did a good job last week." Rossini then went on to say, paraphrasing your conversation with Jimmy, that he was giving Kevin Stefanski the vote of confidence. Bull, you see those comments from Saturday.
Yeah.
Then we see what happened on Sunday against the Patriots. Do you think Kevin Stefanski can survive if things continue to look like they have, regardless of what Jimmy Haslam said to Diana Rossini?
I'm ready to move on from the entire organization, like everybody. However, that doesn't appear to be the case. Now, with Jimmy, you never know. He's a billionaire. He can change his mind at any point. But right now, if you look at the behavior of Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry, the way they've gone about things this year, they're behaving as if they're not leaving. Right? I mean, you see that behavior. And the way they're handling things, the way they gave away 2 veteran quarterbacks, no matter how good you thought they were going to be, for late draft picks, the way you're playing a quarterback and not even thinking for a minute about playing somebody else when you're 2-6, right?
Yeah. 2-6, correct.
Like, their behavior leads you to believe they're not going anywhere. You see that. You see that in all walks of life, right? So if somebody's behaving like they have nothing to, that they can't lose, that they're in a situation where there's no threat of them losing their job, then you think they were secure. I as crazy as it is to me, they're behaving like 2 guys not worried about losing their jobs. So I don't think they're going to, unless Jimmy Haslam changes his mind.
You sound like me.
Yeah.
I've been. You guys keep yelling at me. I've said that all year.
I'm not yelling at you. I'm just listen. I don't agree with it. But I think it is what it is.
I was thinking about this morning with all the Kevin stuff, and because I've been saying, like, you want to fire him. I'm not going to argue with you. But I still think he's a good NFL coach because of the nonsense that he has to overcome in Berea. And I was thinking about this. I've been doing this 25 years. I've covered college football, NFL, NBA, where I've been in close contact with high-level coaches, and you get to see the operation a little bit more than what you do on screen. There are 2 coaches I've covered, 2 in 25 years, where I looked at them and said, oh no, something here doesn't look right. This is not how it's supposed to look. This can't happen. And that was David Blatt and Freddie Kitchens.
Right.
Those were the 2 guys where I'm like, they got to go. With Blatt, it was obvious from day one, like, oh no, like LeBron is drawing up the plays and Blatt's in the huddle going, oh, okay, that looks good. And Ty Lue's calling the timeout. Like, it was just bad. And Freddie, the entire operation, I think it was the Rams game, week 2 or week 3, where I wrote after that game, guys, something is drastically wrong here. You can tell by this, the sideline was not in order. There was just chaos and dysfunction. And I wrote after week 8, I think it was, the Denver loss, they're going to have to fire Freddie. Like, this cannot continue. This is not sustainable, because it was that obvious and evident. I don't get that feeling with Kevin. I just don't get that feeling. When he has talent, he has won. And I don't ever use the 2-time coach of the year. You can look for hours on footage of this show. I have never once used that as a defense of him, and I'm not going to now. But I think what it shows you is that the league, and I don't have facts or proof of this. This is my opinion. The reason he's won those awards is because you get bonus points for doing it in Cleveland. Because it is so dysfunctional here that you look and say, well, if you won in Cleveland, you got to know what you're doing because nobody can win there. I think Mike Pettin is a guy who I was covering the NBA at the time, but I think he's a guy that had he had an opportunity outside of Cleveland, he could have been a good NFL head coach. But I think the poison of Cleveland after he left here, he's like, I don't want to do this anymore. I never want to do this again. And he probably has passed on opportunities to evolve in his career because he was so scarred by what happened here. I think when Kevin has the talent here, he can win here. And Garrett, you're right that they've been aligned. Like Barry and Kevin have been aligned. But I don't think Kevin is picking the linebackers and the receivers. He 100% picked Dillon. Yes, that is his pick. And he'll have to live and die with that pick. But like linebacker in the second round, do you think how much did Kevin really scout Carson Schlesinger? Well, probably not a lot. That's what the scouting department with the GM is for.
Well, here's what I will say to this. If you have a second round pick and you made a decision that, hey, Jackson Dart is not it, I'm okay with trading down and then not taking another quarterback. I'm sure he had a big say in, well, are we going to take a quarterback high or low?
Absolutely. And
if he loved Jackson Dart,
how about a wide receiver?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like those decisions, he's in on those decisions.
Well, I think quarterback, he had a big voice. In this draft, I think he had a big voice on quarterback. And so and listen, I was the first one to say, if Jackson Dart's a hit, you can fire everybody. And I mean, Mike, you probably watched Dart more than anybody. I think he's had some like really good moments, and I think he's had some meh moments.
I mean, he's been up and down.
Yeah.
But there's clearly something there.
Yeah.
Like there's tangible stuff you could look at and build upon that says, oh, we like
where
a lot of this.
We don't have that with our guy.
Okay, but go through the list. Go through the list. They couldn't get to Cam Ward. They weren't going to get there.
No.
Next quarterback taken was Dart.
Yep.
Yes.
Next quarterback taken was Shuck.
Tyler
Shuck.
Yeah, the guy I can't say.
Who went in the second half yesterday, and we'll see.
He did not look good yesterday, but it's half a game.
And we'll see. And then was there another quarterback taken before
Jalen
Dillon?
Milroe was taken 2 picks before. He's played like 6 snaps this year in Wildcat duty.
So my point is, there's not a great – we'll see on Dart. Dart could be. But aside from that, there's no great quarterback that was available to them who has blown everybody's doors off. Is that fair?
Yeah,
Can we agree on that?
That's why they made the trade.
So they had no cap space to go out and get a guy.
No.
Like Daniel Jones. I'll just throw that out there because he was making $14 million. They had to shop in the basement bin of the Kenny Pickett's and the Joe Flacco's. That's the reality. Take the emotion out. The reality is that's the aisles that they were shopping in to find their quarterback. They couldn't get to Cam Ward. So, yeah, Kevin said, give me Dillon. I like Dillon. And he has not looked good. But again, the groceries they were picking over were all pretty rotten.
So he picked Kenny Pickett. He said, yo, that's the guy I want to identify. He gave them no reps. We just spent a half hour talking about inexplicably they jettisoned him. He says Joe Flacco is the quarterback. He didn't look good while he was here. Inexplicably, during the middle of the week, they jettisoned him. 10 days later, he throws for 300 yards. They said they like Dylan Gabriel. They gave Dylan Gabriel. They've been picking him. He had reps from day one. He's in the game, has not looked good. They made a decision and said they wanted Deshaun Watson. He was here. He played his games. Did not look good. They made a decision on all of these quarterbacks. They said DTR, right? He had an opportunity to play DTR. DTR didn't even know he was playing half the time. He just didn't. So when you say that Freddie Kitchens, there were some things off. No, there's some things off here too. When your quarterback does not know he's going to be playing in a football game, that's an issue, and you're the coordinator.
And just because you're not as bad, I think everybody would agree Kevin Stefanski's better than Freddie Kitchens. But just because you're not as bad as Freddie Kitchens doesn't mean you shouldn't be fired at some point.
No,
G doesn't buy that, by the way.
I don't buy that.
And just because there's not dysfunction
I don't buy
on the
that.
sidelines.
Oh, it's not even close.
You
I don't buy
expect
that.
that at a bare minimum.
Hold on. Go back and look at it.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it like this. Just look at the stats. When Freddie Kitchens was here, he was here 1 year. He had a running back, 1,400 yards. Well, that's pretty good, right?
That's great.
All right. He had a receiver, 1,100 yards.
Yep.
Oh, that's pretty good, right? Another receiver, another 1,000 yards, right?
Yeah.
If Kevin Stefanski, by the way, your quarterback almost threw for 4,000 yards.
Yeah, I think what Jay might be saying is, as an offensive coordinator, serviceable.
There was other things.
Hold on, but here's the thing:
the dysfunction on the sideline.
In the end, it doesn't matter.
So the point I'm making is, if we can all agree that he got fired with that production, my thing is I can't sit up here and make no excuses for a guy who don't even have that level of production, and you still have a level of dysfunction with him without the results.
There isn't the sideline and all this dysfunction behind the scenes to anywhere close to the same degree, but it doesn't matter. The bottom line is Kevin Stefanski's now been here 6 years. They've won one playoff game in his tenure. He has a losing record. Obviously, being the coach of the Browns negatively impacts him, just like being the coach of the Jets or the Bengals, or
Panthers. Panthers is another one.
Like, yes, all these things factor in, but to me, the ultimate indictment. And yes, maybe in another circumstance, Kevin Stefanski would be a better coach. We'll see. I'm not as convinced as you are. I know you're convinced somebody's giving him a head coaching job next year. I don't believe that for a minute, but we'll see. I'm not saying he won't ever get one again. I just don't buy it'll be next year.
I don't know if he would take one again. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. But here's the thing. In addition to the fact that they've gone backwards since he first started here, right? They've won 0 playoff games since his rookie year. They've made 1 playoff appearance since his rookie year. Who on their offense in his tenure has he helped improve? Has he gotten the most out of? I just can't point to anybody. Can you?
Who he's gotten better?
Yeah.
Judy last year, and then he's fallen off a cliff.
Who?
Judy last year was the best year of his career, and then he's fallen off a cliff this year to get literally.
But Jerry Judy had his best, did his best. Now I'll give Kevin Stefanski some credit because he is the head coach.
Go ahead, give it to him.
But Jerry Judy did his best when Kevin Stefanski was not the play caller.
I'm just saying, you asked for a player who had
okay, so that's one guy who is now now is having his worst year of his career.
Yes.
In the following season.
I thought early in his career, I thought he was really good with Baker.
Right, but Baker's been his best somewhere else.
After a couple of years in between, and I think part of that falls on Baker. Listen,
I
don't think Kevin is an elite coach. I've never said that he is.
Right.
I've never said that he is. I think he's good at managing the obstacles that come with where he is. We've done digging on a couple stories that never ran. And so I get to go to the NFL owners meetings and I get to talk to everybody, right? We talk to all these different people with all these different teams. And inevitably, and maybe some of these stories will run, maybe I doubt that they are, but we've done extensive work on how the Browns function, how they operate, top down, stuff like that. There's
Is it
reasons,
because you can't get enough?
Yes.
There's
like 2 things that we just can't get over the line of, like, the New York Times has such a high threshold of sourcing.
Bring it, brother!
The Times has such a high threshold of sourcing that there's 1 or 2 things that we just haven't been able to. And if we can get those 1 or 2 things over the line, we'll probably run it.
Go on Fox News. You can say whatever you want.
You can say whatever you want here.
But
Trust me, the things I've heard on this show, say it.
But I'm just telling you, like, the thought around the league, the way teams view Cleveland, and what you have to overcome to win here. That's why he is respected. I know Browns fans hate him. I get it. I know. I understand why. I'm telling you, around the league, people look at him and go, well, of course. I mean, look, it's Cleveland. Like, he's got to overcome the Haslams. He's got to overcome all of this and how they operate and how they function. He's got no chance.
But don't they say the same thing about the Jets?
Yeah.
Why are the Jets any different?
No, they're not. They say the same thing about the Jets. Jets have recycled head coaches like underwear.
Alex Smith was on one of those morning shows on ESPN just going off on Woody Johnson.
And he should. I would put Woody in the same category as Jimmy Haslam.
Yeah.
And the problem here is, and I wish you guys would do it. We've had off-camera conversations about it. I get the sourcing, particularly with the New York Times, and you have to multiple source. I get all of that.
There are things that I know, but I can't prove it to a level.
Right. So here is my issue with that. I've said their level of transparency is like TASS news agency. Like, you can't get. We don't know what Paul DePodesta does. We don't know. I don't know. He's a boogeyman. He does something. He's chief strategy officer. He lives in San Diego and he calls shots. Maybe he texts plays. I have no idea. We don't know. I want questions answered as a fan, and this is where I talk about. They're going to ask the sticker price to be a Browns fan and go to the games is going to go up tenfold. Whatever it is, dramatically, it's going to increase. My hope with all of that is that will be the threshold that these fans won't cover. These are the best fans in the world.
Yeah.
What this fan base puts up with is nothing short of remarkable. But we're going to find out what their level of pain is, what their threshold is. I wish we would know who drove the bus on Deshaun Watson. All roads lead back to that. Everything. There was a human being in this organization that was the first to bring his name up. I want to know who it was. If I'm going to spend money to go buy this product, I want to make sure that the product, when I go to a restaurant, I know the ingredients, I know what I'm dealing with. I don't know who is to blame. And so because I don't know, and I know you've dug on this.
But do you know on any team who's to blame?
A lot of teams are much more transparent than this
Not
team.
on this.
No, they are.
On stuff like that, I
maybe
can't
not
imagine.
on that, but like the question of Paul DePodesta and the boogeyman, and he's behind the curtain, and
So, I know that's been out there. I've said that. It was Barry. Barry's the one who brought his name up first.
Bye.
Andrew did the work.
Bye.
Andrew did the work on Deshaun when he was in Philly in 2019 or whatever that year was. Like, that's when he first sort of became
so if he was a
enamored.
shipbuilder,
But
he built the Titanic.
But
would you let him build another ship?
that's why I said if you want to fire everybody last year. That was the time to do it. Deshaun was a disaster. It was a debacle.
Because we
Sweep
don't
everybody
know,
out.
Here's the one thing I know for certain.
Now, because he was the first one to bring it up, doesn't mean he was the one that wanted to put it over the line.
In my mind, none of it happens if Jimmy doesn't says write the check.
Yes.
So Jimmy, to me, ultimately, and Jimmy took responsibility this summer.
Which is why
he fell on that sword.
Which is why nobody got fired.
Right. I get all that. But here's the deal. I can't root for a team anymore that is owned by Jimmy Haslam. I can't do it. And I came to that realization watching the game yesterday. I had over 20 people at our house for our baseball party. Everybody was watching the game. My level of interest in that game, not just because there was a party, was the lowest level of interest I've ever had in a Browns game at any point in my life. That includes 0-16. I don't care anymore. I am dead inside. And here's the thing. If Jimmy says tomorrow at a news conference, I'm going to remain owner of the team, but I just gave our team this message, I'm not going to step foot in Berea. I'm going to write checks. I'm going to hire people. I'm going to hire the best people in the business. But I'm no longer going to get in and muck things up with my uninformed opinion.
If he did that, which he's never going to do.
He's never going to do that.
If he said that, I would say, you want to fire him? Fire everybody.
Sure.
Clear out the building.
Yep. Go get the best.
Right ahead.
Get the best available.
My biggest of all the things.
But my biggest defense of Kevin is his ability to overcome the obstacles that are put in place in that building.
Kevin is not the biggest thing wrong with
But
this
I would argue
organization.
that he hasn't overcome them enough.
I agree. I agree.
And
I agree.
Go ahead, G. Go get yours off.
That's funny. Get your pause. Listen, no, we just had a conversation, and I would need to bring it back to the center. We sat here and went around the table, and we said that we don't feel like Myles Garrett should be. We're giving him any sympathy because what?
He signed up for this.
Kevin
took the money.
Kevin Stefanski's contract was up. His contract was finished. It was done.
No, they extended.
No, they extended it
Hold
before we
on.
ever got
But
to
he
that.
could have not signed up.
But that's where we're going.
Yeah, but there's a difference.
But no,
Up is I've got no contract.
Well, here's the thing. He was under contract. If he was handcuffed to a level, and he is thought about around the league as one of the best, bright, young coaches in mind.
I won't even go that far. I think he's a good coach.
Okay.
He's a good coach, period.
If
Yeah,
I got
that's a
that
stretch.
resume, and I'm the coach of the year, and I took this team after what we did in 2023, and Jimmy Haslam, we did shows on this airwave countless times. When are they going to extend him? When are they going to extend him? What's up with the contracts? He said, I'm not worried about it. We'll get it done. We'll get it done. If he was so handcuffed, he could have simply said, you know what, Jimmy, thanks, but no thanks. I appreciate the
That's
opportunity, and I would respect you because guess who did it? Kyle Shanahan did that. He said, listen, I understand it's a coordinator position, but let me tell you why I'm not coaching for you. I will take my ball and go somewhere else. And it worked out. So we can't sit here and say we feel sorry for him because he's under Jimmy Haslam when he signed a deal just like Miles Garrett signed.
I don't feel sorry.
No, I don't
I'm
feel
thinking
sorry for him
at all.
Nobody feels
I
sorry
don't feel
for him.
sorry for Kevin one bit.
And
he decided to come back.
Frankly, when they fired AVP, I thought he should have quit. I think I said that on the show.
And
Yeah,
that
you
brings
did.
me to what I wanted to say.
did.
And I know you and I are agreement on this. My biggest beef of everything with Kevin Stefanski is his inability to say to Jimmy Haslam, enough.
Yep. I agree.
And I don't
Bull.
care that he's the owner
I
because
agree.
Kevin had the juice to do that.
Yeah.
Yup.
Yes,
and,
he did.
And the worst Jimmy could have done was fire him. He still would have gotten paid. He should have said enough. He should not have allowed Alex Van Pelt to be fired. He's been pushed around with the coaches that have been forced on him.
I agree with you.
And he has allowed it to happen. The only time the Cowboys have had any success since Jerry Jones owned the team was when Jimmy Johnson ran the team and said, "Jerry, you're out."
You know what's funny?
And they've not won anything since then.
You know what's funny is
He's a poor man's Jerry Jones.
it's exactly what Ty did when Ty got fired. When Ty got fired from the Cavs, he was playing his veterans. They wanted him to play Colin Sexton at all costs and get some of these young guys ready. And Ty's like, I'm going to play my guys, and if you don't like it, you can fire me.
That's it. Good.
So what'd they do?
Fired
They
him.
fired him.
So what?
Yeah,
Cool.
and look at him now. Because the thing, what's funny about Ty, now I'm talking about Ty. Remember his last year here, the year you were talking about? I would come on your show, and everybody wanted to fire Ty. Remember that?
Yeah.
Everybody wanted to fire
Yeah.
Ty Lue. He's an idiot. He's a bad coach. He doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know how to use
Did
LeBron.
I want to fire him? I don't think I wanted to fire him.
Oh, yeah, everybody did. Everybody in town. And I would come on and say, guys, Ty's not the problem. Ty's the one holding it together.
Yeah.
And people got so mad at me for. I'm not going to tell you Kevin's the one holding this together because there ain't nothing holding this together.
No, it's not together.
But I don't think Kevin is the problem. I don't think he's the
I
biggest
agree
problem.
with you. I don't think he's the
and
biggest
that's why.
problem.
And that's why it comes off that I'm defending him all the time. I said, if you want to fire him, fire him. But I don't think he's the biggest issue with what's wrong with this team. And much like Ty, Ty was the one holding that together. They go back to the finals. LeBron leaves. He wants to play his guys. They do fire him the next year. Now he's Team USA coach. He's head coach for the Clippers. Was Ty the problem? Of course Ty wasn't the problem.
No.
There was much greater issues going on within the Cavs, but the easiest one to point the finger at is always the head coach, and I think it's happening
But
again.
we are also pointing to the entire organization. Nobody's saying Jimmy Haslam's not the biggest part
Jimmy
of the problem.
is the
We can't fight Jimmy. We can't fire Jimmy.
And
Which
Bull,
is-
Yeah.
So I've been saying that
Yeah.
for years. I famously talk about all my buddies at ESPN saying, "Dude, leave now. Save yourself the next 10 years, 20 years, whatever."
Oh, stop. It's in your blood. You can't stop it.
It's in my blood, but
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I am telling you with everything I have, something has to change for me. I'm 60 years old. I for an exercise, I did this yesterday because I was talking to my teammates yesterday. I go, we don't have to be in a top 32. We don't have to. We've never been in the top 16 of the AFC. I have on this piece of paper the list of the AFC winners since in the modern era of football. Ravens 2, Indy 2, Titans 1, Chargers 1, Colts 1, Miami 5, Pittsburgh 8, Raiders 4, Denver 8, Cincinnati 2, Patriots 11, Kansas
Cincinnati
City
3.
5.
Bengals are 3. They've
Three
been to
Super
Bowl
Bowls?
3 times, yeah.
I missed one then. Kansas City 5, Buffalo 4. I mentioned all that.
Yeah.
There's a couple of teams missing in there. Jacksonville and the Browns. In the modern era, let's just say the Super Bowl era, there have been 120 representatives after this year in the Super Bowl. Not one time have we been able to climb to the top of a 16-team mountain. Not once.
In theory, based on football, every team should have been there 4 times.
This should be our 4th.
Yeah.
Because, every 16 years,
Yeah.
it rotates out. Guys, we can't do it once. And a lot of, obviously, we had different regimes. We had different ownerships, 4 different ownership groups during that time. When I look at the Pittsburgh Steelers, their ownership group, the Rooneys, okay, they've been in 8. The Patriots, 11. Now, not all of the Patriots were in the Kraft era, but most of them were.
Yeah.
Kansas City, the Hunt family, 5. This is football royalty. You get there with great ownership. this ownership group
Yeah.
is the worst ownership group of any team that I have ever been a fan of. And you can make a strong argument that they are the worst ownership group in the history of football. They've won nothing. Yet they walk around at practice with their hands in their pockets, evaluating talent and whispering sweet nothings in the ear of our general manager and head coach. I don't need it anymore. I want J-Dub out the building.
Oh, God.
I asked once, there was somebody that asked me this at ESPN. Yeah. Do you think that how many teams would be lining up if the Browns told him he was fired?
Bro,
come on.
But this is the frustrating.
He married into it. I can't have a guy making huge decisions in my organization that married into it.
But this is the frustrating.
He's got to go. Haslam's got to go. Or I can't do it.
The frustrating part about it is it's like I don't understand. Like, people fight so hard when you can try things. You know why the Pittsburgh Steelers? I give Pittsburgh credit. You know what? They say, you know what? We got a dude named Cordell Stewart. We got Slash. Let's go ahead and see what happens with it. We got to do named Tom Brady. He was a 6th round pick. Let's roll the dice on him, see if he got something to do. Right? Let's figure out, like, these organizations. They had Alex Smith, right? They said, let me get this Texas Tech quarterback. His name is Patrick Mahomes. He's a little gunslinger. Nobody's high on him. We'll take him. The problem here in Cleveland is every 4 years we cycle the same nonsense. You tell me the difference between Dylan Gabriel and Colt McCoy and Brian Hoyer. It ain't one. You tell me the difference between Jake Delhomme and Josh McCown and Joe Flacco. It isn't.
Derek Anderson.
And Derek Anderson. There isn't one. We are playing the same games with the different people, but different narratives. Charlie Fry doing all this other stuff and getting traded real quick. We got Jason Campbell and Seneca Wallace. That's the new DTR. They've been running the same stuff. And you sit here and tell me, I don't think it's going to matter, and you got a dude sitting on your bench that's posted up, sitting there, right? But instead of saying, hey, see what he can do, we'd rather be defeaters and say we'd rather lose with the people we know ain't no good. That's the problem with the Cleveland Browns fan base. It's a problem we don't expect no more. When you go to Jets, guess what? We told you Aaron Glenn was going to get fired. Where he at? You go down to LSU. Hey, Brian Kelly, get out. Other places ain't playing with you. All this, let's figure it out for 10 years. You got about 3.5 weeks to figure it out. I would love this type of energy from y'all guys that go to work. Let you have 3 bad days at work. Let's have 3. Not 6 years. 3 bad days.
By the way, while we're at it, can we fire Zach Taylor too? Can we get his ass out of Cincinnati?
Man, he must be next level awful.
Oh my God, he's so terrible.
They gave up 39 to the Jets. All I kept thinking was, God.
At least if you play. Let me just tell you something. I was watching Darryl Ryder. Said, finally, Darryl Ryder, you done saw the lights. At least I will be entertained. At least give your fan base entertainment to watch somebody attempt to throw the football downfield instead of telling us he's not ready. No, you're not ready. This is crazy work. Put the dude in. Let's figure something out, and at least we can watch. And Jay won't have to sit there looking at the paint dry in his house at a baseball game with Dylan Gabriel throwing safeties to nobody and pointing at the ground. What is that?
I can't watch
that.
I can't watch it.
I'd rather go watch. I'll go to Avon. Let me watch. I'd rather watch AJ. I want to watch AJ get sacks and dance. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see none of them people.
You know, you go to a puppet show and everybody looks at the puppets, but there's the puppet master up here and he's handling the wood and he's doing all that stuff.
Handling the wood.
That's Jimmy Haslam.
Jay, I'm feeling sad for you that you're going to puppet shows.
That's Jimmy. Yeah. And the puppets, you can change out, you can cut the strings, and you can put new puppets down there.
Yeah.
Here's what Jimmy Haslam is P.T. Barnum. You know, suckers born every 15 minutes. We're the suckers, guys. We are the suckers. We show up every Sunday with our hearts open, and we think that today's going to be different.
No.
Or this year's going to be different. I just read on my phone that the Baltimore Ravens at 2-5 are the betting favorites to win the division.
They are.
Well,
nasty
and they should be.
Steelers are 4-3.
They should be. After I watched the Steelers last night, I think they should be. But here's the wild thing about this.
Nasty work.
Jimmy has created drama and fires all over, and he's hoping that the fans think that the fire is the enemy.
I guarantee
the arsonist is the enemy, and he is burning it down.
Jay, I guarantee you half the fan base still thinks he's the best owner in Cleveland.
Bull, that's
he
why
spends money.
I was going to get to that point
insane.
Should I
when
make
we
it
did
a
our
poll?
the best owner in Cleveland sports. Jimmy Haslam got 50% of the votes. We're the suckers.
Well,
We keep coming back. What he does is owns the most favorite and popular team in the city.
That's right.
And that's why I said it was the most egregious take that I've ever heard in my life, that half of the Cleveland Browns feel that he's a better owner than Paul Dolan, who spends no money but wins.
we'll make it a poll. We'll read your throats.
Oh, God. And he'll still get
record
50%.
numbers watching.